It's centered around institutions. Executives are stepping down. Humanitarian leaders are resigning. That's wild. Political figures are distancing themselves. Sports owners are under review. Corporate boards are quietly recalculating the people that they want in their atmosphere. And many Americans, and we're trying to ask this one little question. If the fallout is spreading overseas and inside global institutions, why does it feel like the American system is remaining untouched? Why would an American who has all this influence, all this money, all these connections, why wouldn't there be some kind of fallout in the United States? Why wouldn't there be a fallout? I'm not understanding what's going on. Why we cannot seem to get any justice here in America. Let me give you these people. Hold on a moment. This is Jeffrey Epstein as a young man. Jeffrey Epstein, born in Brooklyn, 1953. And he was not wealthy when he was born. Parents were not a part of the elite political dynasties. He did not inherit money. He also did not graduate from college. He attended Cooper University, or Cooper Union, and then NYU. He left without earning a degree. Yet somehow, some way, over the next 2 decades, he would be photographed with presidents, billionaires, and global power people. How? His first doorway is the Dalton School in Manhattan. Dalton School in Manhattan, I think it was a girls' school, where he taught math. He was not a teacher. He was in the school. He was in the pipeline with the wealthy households. Teaching there allowed him to build those relationships with parents who had money, who had influence. And from there, he entered the world of finance. He joined Bear Stearns, all without a degree. He had he went to school for mathematics, but he did not have a degree. In the late 70s, he worked in options trading. He learned how markets function, leveraged work, how to speak the language of the wealthy. So he positioned himself as a private money manager and claimed to serve only billionaires. He just jumped out there. He was like, I'm going to work for the rich people because I'm going to be rich. So that image, exclusive, secretive, connected, gave him the social currency. But his most important relationship was with Leslie Wexner. Come on out, Leslie Wexner. Uno momento, y'all. Let me pull up the picture. Leslie Wexner. We saw him all this week, didn't we? We saw Leslie all this week. Leslie, who built the empire through L Brands, Victoria's Secret became a cultural force. Everybody knows Victoria's Secret, okay? Bath and Body Works. I go there when they have a sale. I clean up when the Bath and Body Works have a sale. Household name. Everybody know it. I got a credit card. Victoria's Secret and Bath and Body Works. He was not only wealthy, he was influential. At some point, he reportedly had power over, Epstein had power of attorney over his whole fortune. How? That relationship gave Epstein the credibility he could leverage everywhere else. I'm assuming that maybe he let him become in charge of his estate because he wanted to be a part of that world. He wanted him to have credibility. So remember in that deposition that Leslie was talking about, Les Wexner was talking about in that deposition. Wasn't he saying he don't know nobody? He didn't know Epstein all that well. They look like they socializing to me. He looked like he casual friends to me, like they real good friends in this picture. But he didn't know nothing about Epstein's business, or he didn't know nothing about what Epstein was doing. Yet and still he in this picture They real good friends right there. No criminal charges. Why ain't no criminal charges coming for this man? No sweeping criminal charges have been announced against this man connected to Epstein and his trafficking crime. Even though he's the money man, he seems to be the money man. But the financial empowerment of Epstein remains one of the mysteries that people still have to grapple with, right? How did that much trust develop? How did he say that Epstein stole money from him? How did Epstein gain all that authority over your money? And you kept saying your wife. He kept saying my wife was in charge of the finances. My wife was doing X, Y, and Z. So your wife knew about Epstein. She was right there because she was handling the money, so she had to know right there. So that's a part of the public conversation right there. Him and his wife were very, very good friends to Epstein. Very, very good friends. Nobody doesn't believe that you weren't good friends. Nobody. Hold on. Let me give you another picture. Okay. Not now. Hold on. So, people lost trust in this Epstein. 2005, Palm Beach. Police recommended serious charges against him in 2005 for minor abuse. But in 2008, Epstein reached a federal non-prosecutory agreement that stunned a whole bunch of people. Why wasn't he allowed to go to prison? Because he was friends with all these rich people. He pleaded guilty in the state court to prostitution-related charges, including one that involved a minor. He served 13 months in county jail. How do you serve 13 months in county jail? I thought you could only serve 12 months in county jail, and then you had to go to a prison. Not federal prison. He didn't go to federal prison. He went to county jail. That's what I'm talking about. When you have more than 364 days in a jail as a sentence, you're supposed to go to prison. He didn't go to prison. He went to jail. And he was granted work release privileges that allowed him to leave the jail for extended periods of time. So he would leave the jail. I don't know what he was doing that he was leaving the jail. The immunity language is what continues to fuel the speculation. He was immune because it looked like protective umbrella. He had a whole bunch of people protecting him. So he had to do the time in the jail, but he didn't have to do the time like everybody else had to do time. His wealth and the legal ramifications, firepower, influenced people helped him get that sentence. Okay. It wasn't no incompetence at all. But you know what? People really didn't know who Epstein was. They knew who he was, but they really didn't know. Only the wealthy people knew. So the wealthy people knew, but we didn't know because I really didn't know jack shit about no Epstein. Wasn't paying no attention to no degenerate white boy. Wasn't even paying attention. But apparently he got off. He got off for a lot of stuff. And all because he had friends. So we're going to introduce you to some friends. Okay, hold on. But let me get this out first. Who is this woman? Hold on. Let me pull this picture up. Hold on. Ghislaine Maxwell. We always got to get her, right? You got to get her because here she is. Hold on. Ghislaine Maxwell. See, he got so many people in here that I hate when I have to pull up a record of him and somehow because he got pictures of everybody. He friends with everybody. So Ghislaine Maxwell was the daughter of a British media tycoon, Robert Maxwell. See, I'm curious about this relationship right here. This relationship to me is kind of weird. He was a sex trafficker. People keep calling him a pedo. According to that deposition, he was sleeping with Les Wexner. Was he a pedophile or did he just traffic people? That's the question I'm trying to ask. I'm trying to figure out, was he a person that liked young girls or did he just traffic the people? Because you could traffic them and not like young girls. You know what I'm saying? You could be a trafficker, but not like you could be just facilitating all of this and like regular ordinary women, but you facilitated this stuff. So was he a pedo? Because this having this Ghislaine Maxwell, was she his girlfriend, or was she one of those people who just hung around with him and they were romantic a long time ago and then they stopped being romantic? And maybe she was his cover. We don't know. I can't really tell because it wouldn't make sense for her to be the girlfriend unless they were abusing the women together and they like to have sex together with these young people. And I'm just confused about this relationship. Girlfriend, not the girlfriend, criminal minded conspirator. What was it? So she entered the New York elite social scene in the 1990s and became romantically involved with him. So early on, she became romantically involved with him. Okay. So over time, she became, I guess, a co-conspirator. She figured out that he was goofy on that scale, on the sexual scale, the deviant scale. And maybe that's how that came about. Okay. 2021, she went to prison, of course, for helping him to recruit and groom minors. Very rare. Is it a rare thing that women get involved with grooming and no, maybe it's not. Maybe women are the ones that groom the girls and then put the girls in front of the men. I don't know, because maybe it's a trust factor. Maybe that's how that goes. I don't know. So she went to prison for 2021. Speculation about intelligent ties have never been proven in court, so we don't know. So her conviction still stands 20 years. Now she's in a cushy prison. Now she's in a cushy, nobody, wait a minute, hold on. Let's be clear. Nobody believes that she doesn't know Trump's involvement. She knows exactly what Trump's involvement is. She knows what it is. And she's a part of it. She's a part of hiding it. Because no way she should be in a cushy prison. She shouldn't be in any kind of cushy prison. Okay? Like she is. She's in a cushy prison. And you're saying he wasn't friends with Trump. Yes, he was. And she knows the full relationship. She knows the full relationship. She does. That's why the president put her in that cushy prison, where she gets a dog to visit her, where she gets to shower by herself. She gets to exercise by herself. She gets to go outside. She gets to read books. She has visitors. She gets all of the things that she wants in a minimum security prison in which she's not supposed to be. She gets all those perks. Why? Because she knows that the president was involved with Epstein. She knows the president and all of his degenerate behavior. She's been there from the beginning. From the beginning. So she knows exactly what this president was up to. She knows. And he knows that she knows. And that's why he's getting her the cushy cell, the cushy prison, minimum security. That's the first question that I asked when I heard that she had been transferred to a minimum security prison. I said, wait a minute, only people that have a year or less, or maybe 2 years or less, get into cushy prisons like that. Okay? Because they know they're not going to act up because they're going to get out. So they're not acting up. They're not trying to do nothing crazy. She got 20 years. Why would you put her in that prison? Because you know she knows the dirt on your dirty ass. She knows what the dirty is about the scammer. Okay? So Donald Trump continues to say that he is exonerated. No, you're not. You're even more embedded in the files. You are the second most mentioned person in the files. Him and Epstein were friends from the 90s into the early 2000s, from 80s, 90s, early 2000s. Over decades, you were friends with this man. So you can't tell me you didn't know what he was doing. You can't tell me you didn't indulge in anything that he had going on. Hey, Donald, I can get you these hot European, Slovakian, Romanian chicks. I can get you some hot chicks, man. But they 17. I can get you some hot chicks, man. But they X, Y, and Z. And they'll do anything you want to. Bullshit. with this president's ego, ain't no way he didn't indulge in none of that. I ain't going for it. Y'all can believe that bullshit, but I know that he indulged in it. So these people, these two characters on the screen were photographed together over the years. Photographed together over the years. In events in New York, Palm Beach, you name it, they were photographed together. Videotape of them together. Trump later stated he had a falling out with Epstein and banned him from Mar-a-Lago, allegedly after inappropriate behavior. Was it the inappropriate behavior that he got banned for, or was it for a business deal? Which one was it? Because I heard it was a business deal. Then I heard it was inappropriate behavior at Mar-a-Lago. Which one was it? Okay. But yet and still, you were friends with him, and him and Ghislaine Maxwell were doing this dirty shit in the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s, early 90s, mid 90s, late 90s. They were doing all this goofy shit then, and you were best friends with them. So you knew what they were doing. You had to. Everybody knew. All these rich people knew. So if you were such a gung-ho at telling about him or telling on him, why didn't you do it in the 90s? Because you didn't tell on him. You just was trying to cover your ass when you called anybody about this person. Okay? Which one was it? He fell out because of a business deal, or you fell out because of inappropriate behavior at Mar-a-Lago, and he was never a member. So there's never been any criminal charges against Trump or Epstein related to Epstein's trafficking. But these photographs matter because they show something larger than that. Epstein moved across political lines and circles. He was not partisan. He was opportunistic. And he was friends with the president of the United States. And they hung out together. They hung out together. Okay? Bullshit. He didn't know what he was doing. Bullshit. This is Epstein. Yeah, these are, I don't know whether these are victims. I don't know what these are. These are just people holding up photos of him, I guess. Okay? People holding up photos. So, here's the fallout in Europe. We have this is the second wave. We got the second wave of fallout. Okay? People said, who the hell know this man? Where does this man come from? He had plenty of friends, starting with this person right here. The Sultan, Salayem, global trade person. He led DP World, one of the largest port operations in the world. Ports are strategic assets. They influence global routes. So when the communications allegedly linking him socially and professionally, personally to Epstein, resurfaced in these documents. There is no criminal charges that have been announced, but he stepped down. Why you gonna step down if you ain't got nothing to do with Epstein? If you can explain away the emails, but you can't explain away the emails, sir. The emails are personal. What you up to, what you gonna party with, when you gonna send me the video. Hey, I like that torture video, blah, 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 blah. These are the kind of emails that this person apparently went back and forth with Epstein. I don't know the details of the emails, but they were personal in nature and professional. This is what corporate risk. They're taking a risk to deal with this man if he stays in the company. So therefore, he has to go. So he stepped down. It is what it is. You have to read the Epstein files in order to get the full context of why he stepped down. Okay. And these are the latest fallouts. Okay. We got Brad Karp. Brad Karp chaired Paul Weiss, one of the most powerful law firms in America. Emails between him and Epstein reportedly surfaced. No criminal charges have been announced, but he stepped aside too. Personal emails. Law firms operate on trust and discretion. Reputation is their currency. So this is why he had to step down. We don't know what's going on. His name appears 598 times in the Epstein file. Why? Why exactly would your name be in files 598 times? Your name is in the files 598 times because you had a personal relationship with him. Something inappropriate went on. Who knows? Who knows? We don't know. It could have been just it could have been the point of him flirting with X, Y, and Z. We don't know what happened. All I know is that you quit your job. All I'm saying is if I don't have no personal relationship with Epstein, I ain't finna quit my job over no, wait a minute. I had business ties with that man and X, Y, and Z, and that's all. I never went to no island. I never went to X, Y, and Z. This is exactly what I would be saying. But why would I resign? This man resigned. Name in the files 598 times. You do the math. Everybody got to do the math. Next person. Everybody got to do the math. Okay? I ain't saying nothing. I'm just saying these people are quitting. Why? Kathy Rumler, I'm sorry, served as chief legal officer at Goldman Sachs, Global Finance, communications between her and Epstein. Over 100 emails with Epstein in the release file. Over 100 emails. It doesn't really say what they talked about, but what did y'all talk about? Investors don't like scandal. Investors definitely don't like this scandal. Okay? But you quit. Okay? Over business ties, you quit. That man has been dead since 2019, and these people falling over like fish out of water. It's got to be, if somebody do some investigating, it's going to get ugly around here. And this is amazing that it hasn't come to the higher levels, the political levels in this country. Because you can't tell me that man, Epstein, who was an American, who had properties in America, probably had properties overseas, who knows, we don't know. That man had properties in the United States, that people who worked for him, people who were around him, people who knew him, senators, congressmen, mayors, presidents, you can't tell me ain't none of them went to none of those properties that he had. Celebrities, they just keeping their head low because maybe they don't know that the files haven't gotten to their name yet. We don't know. So she stepped down. Served as chief legal officer at Goldman Sachs. Kathy Rumler, financial leadership. They saying you got to go. We don't know what you're doing over there. We don't know what you're doing with that man. But you got to go. We do know that. Next person on the list. This is fallout. These are fallout. This is the fallout of Epstein. What's her name? Joanna Rubinstein, humanitarian lady, chaired the Sweden UNHCR fundraising. Humanitarian institutions survive on moral authority. Travel disclosures involved Epstein. She was traveling with Epstein. Wow. Charitable organization. 20 years old. Look at that sign in that picture. World Childhood Foundation, USA. Why is it that all the women that's involved with Epstein has something to do with child organizations? Is that strange or weird, or is that just me? Why every time you see a woman that was involved with Epstein it has something to do with charity, kids, helping, blah, blah, blah? Why? Travel disclosures involving Epstein. None of this is alleged because this is out there in the public atmosphere. I'm not saying they were involved. Anything I say that may be related to me, I'm not saying they were involved in any way like that. I'm saying you exchange emails with Epstein. If all you did was exchange business emails with Epstein, why are you quitting your job? Why are you quitting your job? That's all I'm saying. No criminal charges have been announced against her, but she resigned. Credibility in the humanitarian world is everything. And she's running something to do with kids. I don't know. This shit is creepy. This kid angle is creepy. Next candidate. Okay. Who is Steve? Okay. Hold on. Who is this? Oh, hey guy. Here we are. Hold on. Uno momento, y'all. Uno momento. Okay. Here we are. Thought I had my shit together. Stephen Tisch. Sports and media. Stephen Tisch, co-owns the New York Giants and operates in Hollywood. Communications reportedly resurfaced. What kind of communication? They didn't say business communication. They just said communications. What kind of communication? No criminal charges have been announced, but the internal review is following him. The NFL does not ignore reputational risk. They're looking into him, looking into any kind of connection. It doesn't say that Epstein had a business connection. What kind of business connection could he have to a football person's? We don't know. I don't know. There's a connection there because he's stepping back. If you stepping back and you only had a business relationship with, if it was personal, we would have a problem. If it was inappropriate, we would have a problem. If it was just strictly business, I'd be like, nope. I ain't finna quit my job because of you. And you've been taking a dirt nap for about 5 years. Are you crazy? But these people are getting up out of there. They don't want nothing to do with what goes on with that man because they had some kind of relationship. Hey, they right along with it. We don't know what these people are doing. All we know is this whole thing is vast. We know that this is a vast relationship he had with a lot of people. He touched a lot of people. Look, if I invite 100 of y'all rich people to my party and y'all saw some shit y'all wasn't supposed to see, and I invited 50 of y'all into the back room for that goofy shit that we saw was going on between P. Diddy and what's her name? The girl, Cassie. If it's half of what was going on with the goofy shit with P. Diddy and the goofy girl, Cassie, if it's half of that on a bigger scale, because P. Diddy, let's be honest, P. Diddy is a part of that rarefied air, but he's a part of he's right below that rarefied air. These people hit that rarefied air. You know, that air where, they throw dollars on the floor and I make over $100,000 and I'm jumping on the floor trying to get the dollars. That kind of rarefied air, right? So if P. Diddy was doing some bogus shit, some heinous shit, some fucked up shit to women, then these people ain't finna they ain't trying to reveal nothing. How do you have a deposition of a man who made money from Victoria's Secret? Everybody know who Victoria's Secret is. You name Victoria's Secret, everybody done heard of that. That man is a household name. Les Wexner, that's a household name. And he's the motherfucker that furnished Epstein's lifestyle. He's a monster behind the monster. There's levels to this shit. There's levels to this fucking shit. Casey Wasserman, sports influencer, chairs one of the largest sports and entertainment agencies in the world. He a nice looking white boy. Woo! Reports indicated alleged flirtatious communications between him and Ghislaine Maxwell. What? You know what kind of monster she is, and you were flirting with her? No criminal charges have been announced, but scrutiny intensified about it. In sports management, you got to step back, bro. You wanted to fuck her, and she's one of the monsters. Make it make sense. You wanted to fuck her. Wow. That's where it is. And your text prove that you wanted to do. So those texts surfaced. Our next candidate. Oh, yeah, there's plenty of these folks. George Mitchell helped negotiate the Northern Ireland peace agreement. His name reportedly appears multiple times in documents released. Multiple times. What you been doing, George? What's going on, George? No criminal records, though. Nobody's charging anything yet. These people have been named, and these people are stepping back or resigning before an investigation can start. Ain't no point in you investigating me if I'm a private citizen. Ain't no point in doing that if I'm a private citizen unless you want to go further. If you're going to stay and you're going to fight the charges or you're going to fight the accusations, we finna come for your ass. But if you quit, if you resign, we can deal with the fallout. And this is what these people are doing. Okay? They consider removing George Mitchell's name from honorary placements. Whoa, George. They finna break you off something decent. He stepped down from all his honorary roles. Even symbolic leadership can become a liability. Oh, hell no. They don't want nothing to do with that. This is all in Europe. All of this is handling. This is on a global stage. Why ain't none of this fallout happened in the United States yet? Why haven't we had any fallout in the United States yet? We haven't had any fallout in the United States yet. Why? Why is that? We don't know. Okay. Diplomatic legacy. You got to go, George. They saying you got to go. Next candidate. Who is this lady? Hold on. Why do I always got to go through this? Okay, here we go. Sarah Ferguson. You know who Sarah Ferguson was, right? Sarah Ferguson was the wife of Andrew Windsor, Prince Andrew. This Princess Sarah Ferguson. We loved her when she married Andrew because she was a goofy British girl, and you know she was when she had the baby. She had Beatrice. She got out of the hospital that day, and then she had on some slippery shoes, and she almost fell down after she had just given birth to Miss Beatrice. To Princess Beatrice, and we loved her because she was just so quirky. And her and Andrew were married. Okay. And at one point, after she was divorced from Andrew, she was poor. So she was selling a book. She was selling The Secrets of the Windsor House. And as you can see right here, she asked Jeffrey Epstein to work as his house assistant. As his house assistant. What does that mean? Said she's desperately needed the money. What did that mean? I'm going to work for you and you're going to pay me for your silence. You're going to pay me for my silence. I'll do anything you want me to do in your house. Because I already know what kind of monster you are. I know what type of monster you are. But her close proximity to Epstein's circle resurfaced through renewed scrutiny. Okay, no criminal charges. No criminal charges, as far as we know. But public pressure pressured her to quit whatever job she had. Royal Association amplifies that attention. Hey, Andrew, she married Andrew. She knew he was a degenerate. Andrew was nice looking when he was younger. He was a degenerate then. She knew that. She married him though. And they quickly got divorced, I think about 5-6 years later after they got married. Okay. Because she knew what time it is. And for you to ask to be Jeffrey Epstein's house assistant, that meant you knew what type of bullshit he was on. You knew what type of bullshit him and Ghislaine Maxwell were on. You already knew what time it was. Like Jeffrey Epstein said, he said, you know what Bannon said, you know what type of man you are. Bannon said, I got a very good mirror. I got a very good mirror. I know exactly what I am. Okay. And so Sarah Ferguson to ask to be his house assistant meant she wanted to be in on the money, the way the money was flowing, the way the money was coming from international places and national places. She wanted to be right there in the mix. So that makes her just as much of a monster as him. Next candidate. Un momento. Un momento. Who's his name? Okay, here we go. Longevity influencer Peter Attia steps down from protein bar brand after being named in the Epstein files. Why the hell would you step down? What's going on, bro? What's going on? He acknowledged visiting Epstein's Manhattan townhome, but later on he distanced himself. Really? Why would you need to? If you said I visited his Manhattan townhouse years ago, and that's all you did, that's all I did. I went to the townhouse. I ain't do nothing else. I ain't go to the island. I ain't do nothing. I wasn't doing nothing. I wasn't sucking dick. I wasn't doing none of that. Why do you need to step down after your brand? But then again, I understand. No criminal charges have been announced. Let's make that very clear. But this shows how Epstein embedded himself into scientific, academic, health, government, all of that stuff. He was in on everything. He was in with everybody, every walk of life. Okay? This is all the people that he touched so far. So far. Peter Attia. Next person. Yeah, it's a lot of people. It's a lot of people that's getting broke off. A lot of folks. Wow. Next. Morgan McSweeney. Morgan McSweeney. I guess he's a political strategist. Reportedly appears in the documents along with a lot of other people. No criminal charges though, but political proximity is always going to invite that scrutiny. So Starmer's chief of staff, Morgan McSweeney, resigns. Role of chief of staff to the prime minister. Wow. Prime minister. Yeah, you got to get up out of there, bro. They saying you got to go. What was you doing with Epstein? Who knows? He's one of those behind the scenes human beings. So nobody knows what you did, how you did, why you did. Nobody. But you know what you did. You know what time it is. But half of y'all got to go. But see, here's the thing. We got plenty of people in the United States that ain't nobody said nothing about. Why ain't nobody said nothing about the United States people in the United States? Well, why ain't nobody else getting pulled in? Why ain't the United States dragging folks out of the files? Okay? Ain't nobody dragging no Americans out of the files, are they? And trying to arrest none of them because Donald Trump put the kibosh on that shit. David A. Ross resigns from the School of Visual Arts after Epstein revelations. Connected to academic and art institutions, faces new scrutiny over his association. What scrutiny? What association? What did you do? No criminal charges, though. But this is a donor-driven institution, so they deal with that reputational damage severely. They cut you off at the neck. You out of there. Okay? You out of there, bro. And this is just a tip of the iceberg. Every week it could be a whole group of folks. I'm just bringing you the latest ones that happened in the last week or two. This is ones that happened in the last week or two. Are you serious right now? In the last week or two, this is what happened. But now we got to go beyond these names. Hold on. Let me take him off the screen. All of these people, these are not alleged crimes. These are alleged any kind of weird connection. We don't know what kind of connections they had with him. We don't know. We don't know what these connections are. Okay? We don't know what these people were doing behind the scenes. They'll never tell. They will never tell. I wouldn't tell neither. I wouldn't tell until you dragged me in front of a deposition and lied my ass off like Les Wexman. Y'all thought y'all were going to get the money, man? Ooh. And y'all asked him straight out. Was you fucking Jeffrey Epstein? Was you fucking him? No, we wouldn't have a sexual relationship, but we have reports that you did have a sexual relationship with him, Les Wexman. So you mean to tell me you were still friends with this person, hanging around with this person, dealing with this person, and you knew that you had that people thought you had a sexual relationship with them, and you had a wife? So your wife had to know. Everybody had to know. These people had to know. All these people know. Wife knew. Ghislaine knew. Princess Sarah Ferguson knew. All these women knew. Melania knows. They know all of these things. They know what kind of monsters these are. They know. But they don't care because they belong to the rich and elite. So does Pam Bondi. So does Casper Tail. They know. All of them know. But we got to talk about something that goes beyond those names, because the real issue is not who just stepped down or who's quitting. It's not just about who appeared in those freaking documents. It's about the transparency of it all. It's about why the American public has a need. It should have a need, should be allowed to see who these people are. For years, we've asked a simple question: where are the full Epstein files? Now that they available, I heard a rumor that the French and the German people released unredacted Epstein files. They had files and they released those unredacted files. I don't know how to find those kind of things in the French and the German. I don't know how to find them, although, I'm familiar with the languages. I don't know how to find them. Where the hell will we look? Similar to the DOJ? I don't know. So where are the full Epstein files? Why not release all the Epstein files? Where are the unredacted flight logs? Where are the complete contact books? Where are the sealed grand jury material? Where are the immunity clauses written in 2008? Why did he get immunity clauses written in 2008 so broadly? Why are the victims not fully informed of the plea agreements? And why on earth is Epstein's 2019 arrest and death and all that stuff still hidden from the American public? So now we have to address Donald Trump in this context carefully, because he said this week, Donald Trump said, "Oh, I just got exonerated. My name came out of the files and I got exonerated." No, it didn't, bro. If anything, you got pulled back into that. You didn't get exonerated at all. I don't know whether you're delusional or somebody lying to you, but you didn't get exonerated. You got pulled into it. There's at least three or four instances in which you're in the files in which they said you were raping kids, raping young girls, 16, 15, punching people in the head when they give you fellatio, Come on, bro. And the fact that you all trying to cover this up, the fact that you all are redacting names of the co-conspirators, no, we know, and people are going to keep digging until they find out. Donald Trump, while in office, was asked about the Epstein case and the broader investigation, right? The DOJ oversaw aspects of that 2019 federal prosecution. But after his death, William Barr publicly stated that Epstein's death was ruled a suicide, though we're skeptical. I'm sorry, we're skeptical. The minutes in which he died, the videotape is fucked up. Minutes in which he died, the two guys that were supposed to be watching him are asleep, fell asleep. They doing a double shift, so they fall asleep, so they don't know nothing. And then days before, Epstein's roommate was moved out. Why was Epstein's roommate moved out 2 or 3 days before he died, and they never replaced him with somebody? Why didn't they put somebody else in that cell with him? Why did they take that person out and didn't replace the person? And then we can't see the videotape. There's no more video. There was a glitch. No, you what? A glitch in the videotape, and 2 people that were supposed to be watching him died? Why weren't there a guard outside that door? Why wasn't somebody checking on his breathing every 5 minutes? Why didn't you have another eye inside the cell to see if anything happened to Epstein? No, all these questions that we have. Bullshit. Trump has publicly denied wrongdoing in connection to Epstein. We know that's a lie. We know you was involved in it intimately. Your ego will not allow you not to indulge. That's the kind of human being that you are. We understand the kind of human being you are. Don't try to pretend like you're not a fucking degenerate or an asshole or a monster, because we know that you're one of those, all of those. Okay, we know that you're all of those. He said he distanced himself from Epstein years before the 2019 arrest. Of course, over time, the friendship drifted to something else. We get that. But that still didn't mean that you weren't friends with him and you didn't understand what was going on. You still understood what was going on. Then there had to have been political discussions, accusations circulating online that files were hidden, sealed, or selectively released. Of course, we're getting all of that. But here's the truth. There has been no verified court finding proving that Donald Trump ordered files hidden. Of course not. Why the fuck would Pam Bondi come out there and act an ass like she did? This is wild. And this is what I have to say this right here, right? This woman has seen the files. This woman understands the gravity and the complexity and the fucked up shit that's in those files. She knows the people in the file. She knows Donald Trump's role in the file. And yet I don't want to say bitch, but that chick came out there with her chest stuck out. Like she had the fucking right to be righteous. Like she stood on the right side of the law. Like she was standing there, her chest full out, attacking everybody. And yet she know the truth, which tells me you understand the monster and the monster game, and you're a part of the monster game, and you apparently want to play it. Full chest. She was in a congressional hearing with her chest stuck out. Too arrogant to turn around and address the victims. Too arrogant to say, I was wrong. Too arrogant to say, this is too much to bear here in this session. No, she came out with her chest stuck out, acting a complete ass. That's how we know. That's how we know. That's how we know that you know what's in the files. That's how we know you know the president is in those files. That's how we know that. Nobody does that. However, this is where our frustration lied. The federal government under multiple administrations, including that fickless Garrett, what is his name? Garland. Yeah, Garland, Barr, under all of them, nothing was not released. Documents have been unsealed in waves, on these goofy waves. Redactions remain. Grand jury materials are still protected under the law. And when information is released slowly, partially, or with heavy redactions, people assume something is being protected. Of course, things are being protected. Of course, names are being protected. Powerful people are being protected. When are we going to have the fallout for these people? But you have to combine that 2008 plea deal with those privileges, that broad immunity, to conclude that he had elite insulation. This man did right here on screen. Elite insulation from the law. Ain't nobody even got into the ties that he could have had with Israel or as Mossad and X, Y, and Z. And I ain't even finna get into that. It's kind of scary territory, and I ain't finna fuck with it. But it's there. Now let's talk about what this implies, not as an accusation, but as a political reality, right? When the president has been photographed with Epstein socially in the past, even if no crime is charged, and later oversees its federal systems that release documents gradually, and with redactments, people connect those dots. We're going to connect those dots emotionally. We know. You're only on a goofy train if you don't know. You're only on a goofy train if you don't understand. Whether those dots are legally connected is a different matter or not. But politically, perception is shaping the trust of American people. And trust in these institutions, the DOJ, the FBI, have been fragile for a while. Now they almost fractured because now we know you're hiding stuff. We know you're hiding the elite class. The American public has watched executives overseas step down over associated exposure. All these people are stepping down because of associated exposure, not because we done caught them in the bed licking 12-year-old pussies. We ain't did that. Over association exposure. Humanitarian leaders resign. Boards quickly throw somebody out. But domestically, We have not seen a sweeping round of any kind of prosecutions, any kind of names tied to anything in those documents released. Only Les Wexman. He can't be the only one. He ain't the only one. Epstein acquired all of these things through the help of many people. Many, many people. Who were those people that helped him get the island, the ranch, the Zorro Ranch that they're now investigating, where they may have found a couple bodies on the ranch, couple young girl bodies on the ranch. Oh my God, if they find bodies on the ranch, it is gonna blow this whole sucker wide open if they find bodies on that ranch. Department of Justice argues that the evidence, not association, determines prosecution. The evidence determines prosecution. That's what they said. That's legally correct. That's legally correct. But we understand what happened in 2008. County jail. That motherfucker got county jail when he got more than 365 days. When you have more than 365 days sentenced, you go to prison. This motherfucker didn't go to prison. This motherfucker went to jail. Stayed in jail. Hey, you can have a good ass time in jail. Shit, you get to go out, smoke a cigarette. Ain't nobody bothering you. You might get lucky and have a cell by yourself. Visitors, lawyer visits, all that shit. I used to work in the jail, prison. I understand how it works. I used to go talk to those people in the jail, in the prison. Counsel those people. Work release. This motherfucker had work release. You believe that? Work release. He be going all day and he only had to stay in the cell at night or maybe even on the weekend. I have heard of people having work release on the weekend only. People have had to go to jail for the weekend and they get out on Monday morning and do whatever they want to do Monday morning. Immunity for unnamed co-conspirators. And that memory colors every new disclosure. Okay, now here's a deeper issue right now. If the files are partially released, if names are redacted, if grand jury records remain sealed, and if the investigation appears to stall, we assume there's protection. Of course there's protection. We know there's protection. I am rich, bitch. I am a billionaire. I ain't going to jail. I ain't going to jail. That's all you got to say. I'm a billionaire. I ain't going to jail. Okay? So when the person who was once photographed with Epstein later becomes the president, we can make that assumption even better, even more. Bill Clinton in the file, saw him in a swimming pool, saw him in some kind of weird dress or some shit. We done seen all kinds of pictures. These people are presidents. This motherfucker knew them. He partied with these presidents. You think these presidents, former presidents, current presidents, you think they're gonna let this man talk? You think they gonna let Ghislaine Maxwell talk? What she said was, that's all he got to do. That's all the president got to do. Release her in some kind of figamajig, release her overnight and shoot her ass off to France. And never to be heard from again. Shoot her ass off to France. We would never know the difference. They could find somebody who looks like Ghislaine Maxwell, put her in that prison, and later on say she committed suicide, and Ghislaine Maxwell, they'd be done transfer her out, and she's somewhere in Canada, Quebec, France, and would nobody even know about it. They could do that right now. Okay? Right now. And I guarantee you somewhere along the line within the next year or two, president is going to pardon her and get her out of there because she knows his fucking proclivities. She knows those. Everything. Everything. Okay? When this transparency is incomplete, suspicion is going to fill the gap. Of course it is. What has hindered us the most, more than anything, is not necessarily what has been proven about it, is what remains hidden about these people and what they did. It's the sealed records, the redactions. It's the immunity language. It's the fact that Epstein died before his trial. Did nobody, you think that, why would that man still had the hope that he was going to get out of jail? He still had a hope before he could get out of jail. That man wasn't nowhere near no doggone suicidal. His ego wouldn't allow him to be suicidal. You could tell from the fucking tapes that he had made with Bannon. The arrogance, the fucking air he breathed was different. He died before his trial. It's the fact that Maxwell is in prison, but the broader network that committed these atrocities is still out here, walking amongst us. Monsters walking amongst us. These are monsters walking amongst us. And now we got distrust for it. We do not want to have partial releases of anything. We want clarity. We want equal application of the law. We want these monsters to go to jail. We want to make sure that not just us. When the police come for my black ass, when they come for my black ass, I'm going to prison. Ain't no let me see if I can call my presidential friend. Let me call the president of France. Let me call the prime minister of England. Let me call so I can get up out of here. Ain't none of that gonna happen. My black ass, I'm going to jail. So especially if I'm caught licking on some young girl's pussy. No, you doing the same thing. You need to go to jail just like me, just because you got money. So questions are gonna continue. The fallout overseas, these are people that the fallout has happened with these people overseas and some people in the United States. I don't know whether they're American or not. I don't know. It just seemed like they were all European to me. Will this American legal system produce a moment that is going to restore our public trust? Because the public trust has went way down. It's in the gutter. It's shitty. After that Alex Preddy shooting, you need to do something to restore trust in the American people. But at the end of the day, this is not about just Epstein. It's about whether the rule of law operates the same way for powerful people like it do my poor black ass. It's about whether transparency is real. Whether this administration who says they're the most transparent of all will be transparent about this. And is it about whether the American public will ever feel that trust again? Will you be able to earn our trust back? If you keep this away from the American people, if you keep hiding these files. So the fallout has begun. The accountability question is there. And this is where that story is at the moment. So hopefully you all hit the like, share, and subscribe. Hit the like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. We will be back with more content. You know I will. You know I will. I appreciate y'all. I'm HQ. Hit the like, share, and subscribe. We have content like this every day. And I'm bringing it to you every day. This is the latest fallout of the Epstein people. People that got money. People that got power. People who live in a rarefied air atmosphere. Hell no. If I go to jail and if I go to jail and I do something, or I do something illegal, I should go to jail just like you should go to jail. We were both human beings. I still don't believe Epstein killed himself. I believe, and most of y'all believe, they took his ass out because he knew too many people. It just is what it is. And the president is not exonerated. Not at all. Hit that like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all. I will be back tomorrow with more content. I will be back. Of course, I will be back.